I'm talking about young people. Let's bring our next storyteller, Jessi.
I'll still take that. Maybe. We'll see. Hello. Give it up for Nestor. Woo! Killing it here. Alrighty. So, ni de aquí ni de allá. That's a phrase in Spanish that means not from here, not from there. You see, I had been coming to this country since the age of 5 years old. At first, it was just vacations, a week. Then it was whole summers. Then it became semesters. Then at one point, full school years. But every time I left my home in Mexico, I always had that reassurance that I would be going back. Until one day, my mother sat me down and told me that we were permanently moving to the United States. And I thought that my world had just crashed. She explained to me how things were going to be different, how school would be different. No more private school uniforms. I would finally see a real cafeteria. How people would be different. Not everyone would look and sound like me. Diversity would become my norm. How the food would be different, and boy, was it different. We weren't going to have La Señora de los Pambazos in the corner, and drive-thrus were going to be our new fave. How the culture would be different in more ways than one, but my very first thing that I noticed was a lack of warmth. Not just from the physical, geographic move, but the energy of the place. What my mother failed to tell me was that when she made that decision that we would be coming to permanently stay in the United States, it also meant that we would be overstaying our visitor visas. And then our status would change from legal visitors to undocumented immigrants. And you see, being an undocumented immigrant came with different set of challenges. I didn't notice them as much in my youth, I recalled heated arguments that my parents would have with administrators because they didn't want to let me sign up for school because I didn't have papers. Or I remember not being able to vacation in California anymore because flying was deemed too risky. Or I look back at the moment when my parents told me that I would be the only person that wouldn't be going to France with my French class because they didn't know if I could come back. Nevertheless, I still went to school. I made friends. I played sports. I joined clubs. Everything was fine. I was adjusting to my life being here, de aquí. And I was letting go of being from Mexico, de allá. And as I transitioned into my high school years, I was in all honors and AP classes. I had a 4.2 GPA. My teachers were writing me letters of recommendations. And then that's when I realized that being undocumented meant that no matter how long I had been here, aquí, no matter how good my grades were, how motivated I was, how hard I worked to set myself up for success, I was still being treated like I had just crossed the border yesterday. Yeah. This was before DACA was even a glimmer of possibility, before many immigrant organizations had partnered with colleges to create scholarships, before we had allies with a platform that gave a damn. The reality of being an undocumented immigrant set in when I couldn't apply to universities, when I had to get multiple low-income jobs so I could afford to pay for my community college classes out of pocket, when I had accumulated several associate degrees but no undergrad in sight, when I didn't know what my life was going to look like past this workday, what was presently in front of me. And being an undocumented immigrant meant living in the shadows in constant fear. Am I going to get pulled over and get arrested again for driving without a driver's license? Will they run my social security number at work and realize it's fake? Is ICE going to raid my building? Your heart is constantly at your throat, and it's beating fast. and it's ready to stop at any moment out of pure angst. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. I'd been here for so long that I began to disconnect with my roots. My English was too perfect. My demeanor was not as inviting. My skin did not glow as before. It's still a problem now. The words of Edward James Olmos and Selena began to ring truth. You know, I had to work now. I had to be more Mexican than the Mexicans and more American than the Americans, both at the same time, and it's exhausting. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. I was stuck in the crossroads of having little options, limited paths, and just no hope for a better tomorrow. Everything that my parents sacrificed, their families, their careers, their homes, for me to have a brighter future was looking futile because we had come to walk the same road, all three of us stuck in the same road of defeat. It wasn't fair. It's not fair, no es justo. And I did everything I was supposed to. I was a good American, the one that my parents taught me to be. And yet, here, aquí, I was still being called an illegal alien, often told to go back to my country, allá. Ni de aquí, ni de allá, because I'm too far into this American life to go back to Mexico and not quite far enough from my patria to truly belong here in America. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. Eventually, I got married. I married a white American. There are only two good reasons to get married in this life. One is if you need a green card. Two is if you need health insurance. Lucky for my husband, I needed both. Meow. I became a resident, eventually a citizen. I was finally able to vote in my first presidential election. That was in 2016. That was real fun. Welcome to America. Ni de aquí, ni de allá. But see, at least now I walk in the light, regardless of if I stay aquí or allá. Thank you.